What makes El Clasico the best derby in the world is everything. And genuinely, it's everything. It is that this is the only rivalry, I think, that has a bit of all of the ingredients that make other rivalries huge. So, for example, if you think about Scotland and you think about Rangers and Celtic, that degree of kind of social confrontation, that degree of nastiness at times, it's true as well, that sense that this is a cultural phenomenon as much as a footballing one, the Clasico has it. If you look at the size or quality of some of the biggest teams, the two Milan teams, for example, El Clasico has it, the quality of the players that have played for them. Just look at the list of players who've won the Ballon d'Or over the last 20 years, or the FIFA World Player over the last 20 years, and they've all been at Madrid or Barcelona, and quite often at the same time confronting each other. The significance, I think, of this being a rivalry, even if it is 600 kilometres apart, of the two eponymous teams of the two biggest cities in Spain. You look at it in terms of the sense that these two teams represent something in a political and social and even patriotic way. And it genuinely is possible to see this as the equivalent of an international game in the club calendar. And I think that feeds into this as well. Then you add the phenomenon over the last 15 or 20 years or so of the internationalization of this. This is a game that is genuinely watched all around the world. It's a game that matters if you're watching in Japan or in India or in the US or in Africa. It doesn't matter where you are, that this is still a game that people kind of latch onto. And that becomes self-perpetuating. So the enormity of it creates the enormity of it. And so I think really when you put all of those things together, and then, as I say, the level of the football is really, really high. One of the things that's been most interesting, I think, about the Clasico over the last 15 years is that we hype it up every time. And we build it up and we build it up and we say, this is a great game and there's so many good players. And almost every time it delivers. I'm really struggling over the last 20 years to think of more than 2 or 3 bad games. Every big game when two big rivals face each other has the occasional stinker. The Clasico has this incredible ability to almost always be really good as well. I think the return of Xavi to Barcelona as manager doesn't necessarily take the Clasico to new heights as kind of return it to the heights it was at. I think it creates a sense of identification with the club, which is really important for Barcelona's whole kind of narrative storyline, the whole sense of themselves. I think it's really important that it's that kind of figure in charge. I think the fact that Xavi has always embraced this rivalry as being very significant in social terms, but also in footballing ones. I think the fact that he's such a kind of a purist about the way that they play and how that can, if you like, contrasts to the way that Real Madrid plays, I think helps as well. And so I think Xavi's return definitely gives this game an extra ingredient, which it was at the risk of losing, in particular, of course, because we're now talking about not just a post-Ronaldo era, which we've been in for 3 or 4 years now, but also a post-Messi era. And that sense of these two clubs trying to kind of rebuild themselves and refine that identity to make this the biggest game in the world again, which it has been. And I think there possibly has been a lull over the last couple of years, but I think it's starting to recover.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.